Hello and welcome to Into Your Life podcast. I'm Lenka and I'm joined here by my wonderful co-host Natalie.
Hi, we invite you to join our weekly conversations about finding more life in one's life.
Well, what does it actually mean?
We have discussions with guests about ways to live happier, healthier, and more fulfilling lives, both personally and professionally.
That sounds great. Let's go.
Hi there. We have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing guest today, and we're going to talk about something we haven't touched on yet. It's a new topic for us, but it's so relevant because we always talk about life and health and well-being. So that's what we're going to dive in today from a specific angle. So today we have Tiffany Spalding here, and she's a functional blood work specialist. She's a certified health and stress coach, and she's helping her clients to take back their health while working together in their healing journey, which sounds exactly as the type of people we have here, some type of thing we're interested in. But the specificity of working with blood work is something I am intrigued by, because we know that our inner working can tell us a lot, our blood can tell us a lot about our health, but maybe it's not something that all of us will do, that we will get our blood checked, we will know where and how to read the results. So that's why I'm so excited to have Tiffany here with us today to tell us a little bit more about, the magic of reading our blood work and obviously then improving our blood. So hi, Tiffany, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me. I absolutely love your introduction because you touched on a very special point when you said that our blood work, it shows us from inside. And that's absolutely something that I tell my clients is your blood work is a snapshot of what is going on inside your body at that moment. So as you said, I'm a functional blood work specialist. So what that means is I look at the body as a whole. I don't sit there and look at individual systems and try to fix or reverse issues in small areas of the body. A lot of people don't realize that if you have an issue in one area of the body, it can cause symptoms and concerns and stress in a completely different part of the body. So when you look at the body as a whole, you can see how all these issues are kind of put together like a big health puzzle. And so I love looking at the pieces and putting together the puzzle. And like you said, helping my clients take back control of their health.
I love it. So how did you ended up working with blood work? Is it something that you went in, got a medical degree, ended up doing? How someone ends up, working with people, looking specifically at their blood work? It is intriguing to me because there's so many health and well-being coaches, and even if they have a holistic approach, it often looks more at the spiritual side, at the health and well-being, nutrition, and I'm sure that the blood work plays a role in those kind of things, but specifically looking so deeply within into the blood, into the molecules in our blood, as you said, taking these snapshots, I would imagine even over time and seeing how they compare and evolve. Tell us a little bit more about how did you kind of found your way into doing this kind of work?
Well, just like anyone who finds their way into natural healing, it comes from a personal standpoint for me. After having my two children, so early 2008, that was when my last child was born, I just didn't feel right. I always had fatigue. I always had pain. I couldn't lose weight. My hair was dry, brittle, falling out. I had dry skin and just all these different issues. And what does everyone say? Oh, well, welcome to momhood. Now you're a mother, you're a parent, or, welcome to being an adult. They always brush it away. And I would go to the doctor and have them do all these blood tests, and they always came back normal. And it would drive me insane. I started to feel like I was crazy in my head because I knew that something was wrong. But everyone kept telling me I was fine, or, what I was dealing with was to be expected. So from there, I started just doing some research on my own, what causes your body to have dry skin and dry hair, or what causes your body to always feel tired, and doing these natural remedies, they would help for a little bit, but then I always found that something else would appear, so I was treating each individual symptom, and I wasn't trying to find out what was actually causing all of it. So it wasn't until probably 2015, I dealt with those symptoms for 7 years. I found a naturopathic doctor, and she helped me go a little bit deeper. And she explained to me, well, just because you're dealing with, this symptom over here doesn't necessarily mean that's what we have to treat. We need to look a little deeper. We need to see what your deficiencies are, or we need to see why you're dealing with inflammation and pain. And that kind of sparked my passion. It's like, why aren't more people doing this? So for me, it started with becoming a stress coach. And so thinking, kind of like what you said, it's all about emotions and being spiritual and healthy. And, it all goes together. But I feel reading the blood work is the first step, because that's the first thing that you can do that can actually confirm what you're dealing with. So becoming a stress coach, I started learning blood work there. Not a lot of the markers. We just learned about like your adrenals and why they cause stress and fatigue. And then we learned a little bit about the liver markers and, detoxing your body. But as soon as we started learning the blood work, I found my passion, because I was like, that's where the answers are, so that was, let's see, I was a certified stress coach. I got that certification in 2018. And then I went on to become a health coach. And then it was about 2 years ago that I actually found the Functional Blood Work program through Dr. Kylie Burton. So I took that and I just added that knowledge into my coaching practice, because I was already touching on it a little bit. And that's how I am where I am today.
And it makes so much sense to start with blood work tests, because blood is everywhere in our body. It is the ultimate connector to who we are and what's going on. And yet you go to the GP and so often this is not being considered. Like, I don't remember the last time on my annual checkup I would have a blood work if I did not ask for it. So I think it's such an important part. It's, it's non-invasive. It's very, let's say, easy to get those answers. But if we start building the picture over time, and going back to your earlier point, when you said in your story that your blood work might look normal, then it's questioning what we define normal. Like, is there something in the medical system that, some of the scales should be adjusted? I presume it's something that you also look at, that when a doctor would say, well, this looks normal within the ranges. Are there any specific ranges that maybe we should question a bit more and look more detail into, even if on the first look we're like, this looks decent, it's fine, it's normal?
There's actually a lot of ranges that are different than, what you should be looking at. So the medical lab ranges that we have now were conducted with groups of people that were so large. They could be anywhere between 300 to 3,000 people that they would draw blood from to get an average. But the problem was these people weren't necessarily healthy. So if you take the thyroid panel to begin with, they could have anyone in there that, hypothyroid, hyperthyroid, maybe somebody in there had Hashimoto's, which is they bounce back and forth between those. These people weren't necessarily healthy, but yet they were using their blood to determine these normal ranges. So what functional medicine has done over the years is they have realized, hey, if we want proper ranges to gauge people's numbers by, we should probably make sure that our subjects are healthy. So they've created all new test subjects and come up with new ranges, and they're called optimal ranges. So when you go to your conventional, GP, and they're pulling your blood work, they're comparing it to those normal ranges, but you really should have them try to compare it to the optimal ranges, because a normal range is, way out here. An optimal range is a lot smaller. So you can see when somebody is outside of that range a lot sooner, and you can catch health concerns a lot quicker than if you just let them continue and then create the symptoms and the problems that you would have later.
And I think, speaking of the ranges, one of the books that really kind of opened my eyes to health and well-being and really longevity that I read last year was Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia. And he did talk quite a few times about the ranges that currently are set for prevention. So kind of looking at people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, at their ranges, be like, well, for your age group, you're relevantly normal. But if we then look at the rate of progression likely towards older age, and there are lots of illnesses that could be, it could be with the cardiovascular health, it could be with Alzheimer's, and lots of illnesses that we actually now know that some of those optimal ranges, even in younger people, should be somewhere else when we really want to deep dive into prevention. So yes, we have one side where there's a problem, we need to solve the problem, we need to figure it out, and we can use blood work to give us answers. But I also think that blood work is a magical solution to allow us to really prevent lots of diseases and to keep people healthier and stronger and enjoying life for longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The problem with using the normal ranges is you can have such a huge fluctuation in your numbers and still be considered normal, but it can sometimes take a while for your body to have an issue before you actually notice it. So like you had mentioned cardiovascular, if you have a lot of stress within your arteries or, high cholesterol, if you fall within those normal ranges, they're going to say, oh, well, you're fine. But if you look at those markers through an optimal range, we can see that, hey, if you keep going this route, you may have some problems in the future. So we can try to do something to reverse these issues now. So yeah, it can take a while for the normal ranges to actually catch up with your problem. But then you've already been dealing with it for so long that it causes a lot of internal stress in the body that shouldn't have been if we could have caught it sooner.
And sometimes, like you said, it's catching something sooner, but sometimes because you get used to living with a symptom, you get used to it, you don't necessarily realize that it's getting worse until it gets really bad. Whereas, like you said, you could have caught it sooner,
yeah,
instead of just living with it and being used to the pain or the whatever it is. You just get used to it until one day you think, hang on a minute, it's actually getting really bad. And that can then be a point of really bad, instead of just catching it sooner. So I love how you have explained that and gone into that. So for the dummies out there like myself, I'm not much on the blood. I've not delved into this part very much. Can you explain a little bit more sort of I don't know, should I say the technicalities or what you can find, or the markers? So do the blood work for dummies. How's that? I'll put myself in this level just for our listeners who maybe have not thought about blood work or really understand it when biology is not necessarily their strength or something. Just can you sort of dig in and explain a little bit more about what blood work is and what you can find with blood work? And I hope my question is making sense, but it's just trying
Absolutely,
to get
it is.
a clearer understanding of the blood work and why it would be beneficial, but also what would you look for in blood work?
So when I have a new client, there are 5 basic tests that I like to look at. And I say basic because these are not special testings that you have to have done. You don't have to go to a specialist or get referrals. Your basic GP can pull these tests. So one of the first ones that I like to look at is called the CBC. That's the complete blood count, and with the differential. That part is very important. So what the CBC shows you is your white blood count and your red blood count. The white blood count, I feel everyone knows, shows when you have an infection. So if your number is extremely high, okay, you're fighting something, we got to get a hold of it. This is where the differential is important, because when you look at the differential, it can actually show us what infection you're fighting. So it could be a bacterial infection. It can be a viral infection. We can even see a parasitic infection. And sometimes, depending on what the numbers are showing, it could indicate if you have some sort of a food intolerance or inflammation in the gut happening. So, and then with the red blood cells, it can show us if you have enough red blood cells in your system. So if you don't, you're not getting oxygen to your cells. That can be one of the reasons why people are tired. So when somebody comes to me and presents with, low energy, or they just don't feel rested, or they're fatigued, that's one of the main tests that I look at. I want to see what their red blood cells are doing. So depending on what the red blood cells are showing me, if there's an issue, and I go, oh, let's dig a little bit deeper, that's when I like to look at the iron panel. This is a test that the GP can also pull. It's a little bit harder to get an iron panel. They don't like to run it unless they feel there's a need, but you can ask for it. So, and then that's where you can go in a little deeper and look at the iron. What's your saturation rate? What's your storage rate? If you don't have a lot of iron being stored in the system, even though you might have iron in your blood, but if it's not actually being stored properly, then your body doesn't have that, oxygen energy to use for later. So that can be another reason why you're fatigued or have low energy all the time. Another test that I like to look at is the complete metabolic panel. This is the one that's really interesting to me, because this is the one that shows all of the functions inside your body. We can look and see if you have inflammation in your gut. We can look and see if you have low stomach acid, which would be causing a lot of digestive and absorption problems within. And then we can also see your liver enzymes, see if you have a high toxic load, and we've got to try to push that out. There's just so much that you can learn from that. So then I also look at a thyroid panel, and most doctors, when they think of the thyroid panel, they only pull the TSH. That's actually a pituitary hormone, and that's located in the back of your head, your pituitary gland. So it's not really a thyroid hormone. I like to see the T4, the T3, the reverse T3. And then if we think that you might have some sort of issues with Hashimoto's, we can also ask for him to run, or her, run antibody tests. So that's a really good indicator if you've got hormone issues. For me, that was the indicator and why I had the weight loss issues, the dry hair, the dry skin. My thyroid was acting up. So that was one of the main things that my naturopath found. Another thing that I like to look at is if we can see your vitamin D level. Now, vitamin D is one of the things that a lot of people are extremely deficient in. So I don't know about over in the UK, but here in America, 80% of Americans are vitamin D deficient, and they don't even know it, because they think going outside is enough to get their vitamin D levels, which, maybe 50, 100 years ago would have been the case. But nowadays, with the amount of pollution that's in the air, it's blocking the UV rays, your body is just not getting the vitamin D that it needs. Our food over here is, I hate to say it, but it's just not grown very well. Our soil is depleted. We use GMOs over here. Our food just does not sustain us with the nutritional values that we need. So vitamin D is very important. I like looking at the vitamin D panel. And then the last one that I would look at is the lipid panel. So that's, the cholesterol. There's a very specific pattern that I'm trying to see. A lot of people think that cholesterol is, everyone worries about it being too high. But what people don't know is your body needs cholesterol. Your organs need cholesterol. Your brain is mainly made up from cholesterol and healthy fats. So if you take that out of your diet, it's not doing your body any good. Cholesterol actually helps to create and maintain hormones. So the more people that worry about their cholesterol and drop the cholesterol numbers, they start to notice that their hormones go out of whack and they don't understand why. perfect example of one body system being in charge of another body system. You can't just focus on one. So those are the basic tests that I like to look at. And normally, you can get your GP to pull all of that. You might have to put up a fight for that iron panel, but he'll pull it.
And I think it's important to empower people with this knowledge and also encourage them to take ownership, because I think we often do get discouraged. We're like, oh, we have this ache and pain. We have this, be it an ache, be it an issue that we're, it's not a major issue. It's something just inconvenient. And we might have been to the doctor a few times. They gave us some sort of a, remedy, but it never went fully away. We kind of got used to living with it. Are there any common themes of symptoms or issues that people come to you that are either the most common or also the more obscure one that people don't seem to show up with, yet they should, because potentially the blood work can really help them? So to get more into kind of empower people with some knowledge and insights into, well, now it's the good time to really go to your GP and potentially press for more blood work and more answers, because we don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to annoy people. We don't want to, go there and spend unnecessary money and time and effort going through that. But also we need to take ownership and, take control over our health and not just depend on the medical system and on the doctors to be thinking for us and to be inviting us in, and because they're just so busy with everyone else.
I am probably going to say this might be a little bit of a controversial topic. And there is a little bit difference here with the countries. You guys are located in the UK. I do believe that your healthcare system is better than ours. And this is where it's going to get controversial. So I apologize for any viewers and listeners. This is all my opinion. But I believe that over here in the States, our healthcare system, it's not doing what it should be doing. Unfortunately, we get so many people that go into the doctors and all they do is want to prescribe a medication. And just like you said, it's all for symptoms, which it's either going to take that symptom away or you're going to stop taking the medication and then the symptom's just going to come right back, because people are not getting to the root cause. And that's why reading the blood work is so important, because you might have a root cause that you don't even realize you're dealing with until we can find it in the blood work. I can actually give you an example. I'll use my husband. I'm totally allowed to do that. And kind of, going along a little bit with what Natalie was talking about of not understanding when you're dealing with an issue. So he didn't realize that he had some digestive issues. He grew up eating a certain way. They would eat, the boxed processed food. And he always thought that was normal. He always thought the way that he felt was normal, until I started getting into this and we had his blood work drawn. And I was able to see, you have some inflammation in your gut. We should probably try to do, maybe an elimination diet and see what's causing this, which we did. It was salads and chicken and veggies, and there was no bread, there was no pasta, there was no sugar, there was no dairy. He hated it. But it wasn't until afterwards. See, because you don't realize when the symptoms, when you're doing that and the symptoms are going away, you're more focused on what we just took away from you. I can't eat all my stuff, But afterwards, when the inflammation was gone, and then he tried to eat pasta, and he got so bloated and he got so constipated and he just couldn't handle that, and he goes, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that those foods were doing that to me. So it's when you try to go back to that you realize the stuff that you're dealing with. And needless to say, he tries to stay away from that stuff as much as possible now. So, going back to, you go to the doctor and they give you a medication, it just covers the symptoms up and you think you're doing good, but you just continue living the lifestyle that you were living that got you into that to begin with. And that medication may be covering the symptom, but you're still doing the damage to your body. So if you ever go off that medication, or if the problem persists enough, the medication doesn't work anymore, then it's going to be a lot harder to reverse that. So it's important to, as you were saying, take back your health, understand what is going on in your body, understand the symptoms and the issues that you're dealing with, and try to do something about it on your own, because doctors can't do it all for everybody all the time, and I do believe that that's why they give the prescriptions, because they just know most people aren't going to eat healthy. Most people aren't going to go to the gym. They're not going to do these things that they really want them to do. So they just have to give them that magic pill. But in the end, it's just making it worse.
I do like a little bit of controversy. It's good, and it is great to see the differences, because Lenka's from the Czech Republic, and their medical system seems to be so much better than here at the UK, and the UK is, okay, my opinion, is awful. The NHS is almost non-existent. It's really difficult, and I'm just having visions of trying to get blood drawn from my doctor. You can't even make appointments. But I originally grew up in South Africa, and the medical system is so different there. You grow up. I grew up with the idea that I am responsible for my own health. It's not a doctor's not responsible for my health. I'm responsible for my health. If something's wrong, do I go to a GP? Do I go to a homeopath? Do I go to an acupuncturist? Do I go to a masseuse? I chose who I wanted to go to. Actually, I was a kid. My mother chose who I should be going to, but it was a choice. You went where that felt right for you. Whereas here in the UK, you were given a GP, but you couldn't even choose to go to a different type of doctor without a referral. So I couldn't just pick up the phone and say, you know what, I want a gut doctor to look at my gut. I've got to go to the GP first to get a referral. And it's only if they thought that there was something there. And it's only now that slowly there is more and more, should I say the word, alternative ways of finding doctors or homeopaths or the acupuncturist or there's so many other different ones, but they're not easy to find because there's not many of them, because the idea that we are responsible for our health has gone. Anything's wrong, go to the GP will fix you, like you said, give you a pill, and if that pill doesn't work, we'll give you another pill to try that, and if there's side effects, we'll give you pills for the side effects, because you're not responsible. We're responsible for your health, and anything's wrong, you come to us and beg and plead, why do you want a blood test? Give us a reason you want a blood test. Well, what do you know about your body? So I'm sorry, we're not going to give you those blood tests because we don't think you need it. I've dealt with the NHS for 23 years since I've been here. Not a fan. Can you tell? Not a fan. But the thing is I get how here in the UK, and most probably from what I've heard in the States, there is this idea, GP will fix. Go to GP, I will be fixed. And this idea of being responsible, saying, hang on a minute, this doesn't feel right. Where can I go to find the answers so that I can make the changes, whether it's through diet, whether it's through eating different foods that have been developed differently. And one advantage, we do have good organic food here. We can find healthier food here. What can I do? Do I need to have some Chinese medicines? Do I need to have an acupuncturist? Do I need to stand on my head for 5 minutes a day to, what do I need to help me to feel better, whether it's an inflammation, whether it's a parasite, whether it's a gut health, whether it's physical health, whether, muscles, whatever. And I love how you are providing a way that somebody can say, you know what, there's something not right, or I want to make sure that everything is functioning right instead of waiting until, can't do anything anymore. Where can I go to get that help? And this is what you're providing. You are providing a service and a way that somebody can be responsible for their own health. you're just showing them what's needed. You're not doing it for them. You're giving them a guidance or a suggestions, or you're showing them their blood markers and what's going on. But at the end of the day, it's up to them to sort it out. In the case of your husband, eat the salads for a while and skip the pasta. So I really love how you are doing this. So I'm thinking on my experiences with the NHS and with a lot of British people, not all British, but a lot of British people. How are you finding that people are people open to what you're doing, or are they like, well, no, the doctor's better, I'm happy with my pill? Are you finding that people want to be educated and take the responsibility, or is it something that you're noticing it's like, come on, people, wake up, let me help you, I can help you, the GP can't help you, but I can help you, type of thing? How are you finding that?
I can say that there is a definite split between the people that don't want to have anything to do with natural health, or, you know, finding the alternative medicine, and then the younger generations that are starting to return back to that. I think of the generation of my grandmother. My grandma right now is 82. So her generation was real big into, oh, the doctor will help us. And that was the generation, you know, you had the doctors that did the house calls, you had the doctors that would do things more naturally. And so that generation is still kind of prone to wanting to go see the, you know, the doctor, the specialist. He's an expert in this. And I'm not knocking that, but there are so many people nowadays that, you know, like we already stated, the doctor can't do all of it for everybody. And we do need to start taking more control of our health. So the generation that my mom falls into, she's kind of a little bit both. Like, she'll go to the doctor, but she also calls me and wants to know, you know, hey, what can I do for this? Hey, what can we do for that? So she's starting to learn. She's kind of, you know, towing both sides of it. My generation that I find, we're the ones that are really starting to take charge with wanting to take back our health. We don't want to have to go to the doctor for everything. We don't want, you know, a list of medications, like you were saying, that cause other problems, to get more medications. And we can see the cycle happening. And, you know, we're the ones that are saying, no, we don't want this. So my generation, I'm going to be 40 in a couple of months. So my generation and younger, I feel those are the ones that are really, they're really wanting to find the alternative, you know, healthy ways to take care of their body. Chiropractors, acupuncturists, nutritional specialists, health coaches, functional blood work specialists, you know, they're the ones that are really seeking us out. And I work with anyone on whatever terms they're on. You know, if I get someone from the older generation and they're skeptic, you know, I'm not going to try to change their beliefs. I can show them what I do. If they want to continue, they continue. If they don't, you know, you got to let them do what they're going to do. I can't force anyone. So I'm here if you need me.
And is there some sort of a frequency that we can potentially think about getting blood work and working on this? Like, obviously, if there is a problem, we go, we get checked, we get information, but then do we keep track of it? Do we, by prevention, go and get our blood done every couple of months, every couple of years? What would be then the ideal frequency for someone who maybe does not have an urgent problem, who might have few kind of we could improve things, but or just wants to really look at their health span and lifespan and longevity and really understand themselves better? And attached to it, probably a second question, are there any common kind of then modalities, ways of fixing, improving the blood work? I know it's a kind of a broad question, and yes, part of it could be medication, but I presume that nutrition will often be a big one. You mentioned with the example of your husband, reducing stress, mental health support, that could be another one. So if you could, we could look potentially at the prevention, some of the frequencies of blood tests, how that could work, and also when we get the result, what would be the ways that you would often, again, we're generalizing, but let's get some examples, if possible, of what would then be the ways of you could, from the blood work, help people then improve their lives.
So to kind of put all of that in order, I would say, as far as prevention, food is going to be your biggest prevention method for diseases. And I know this is going to sound really bad coming from someone who does natural health, because I can't remember who this famous quote is from, but it's, let thy food be the medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food. Yeah, I can't remember who said that, but it's true. So anything, was that who it was? Okay.
Yeah, ancient Greek, Hippocrates.
I know it's really bad coming from me, but I know the saying. I don't remember who said it. Food is going to be the biggest prevention when it comes to health. And the way I look at it, if it came from the earth, or if it came off of a tree or a bush, or if you raised it and processed it yourself, along those lines, that's going to be the best thing. If it comes in a box or a package, or it's full of sugar or ingredients that you can't pronounce, that's not good. That's going to be what's driving you to the diseases in the future. So as far as prevention goes, I would definitely say organic foods, organic meats, and just try to stay as natural as possible. As far as like the modalities to try to figure it out, I do the functional blood work. There's so many other things out there. You can have the health coaches, you can have the nutrition coaches. I've dabbled in iridology and like face map reading. Not really my calling, but I've got, like some of the main points. I can look at someone's face and go, oh, maybe we should check this area. But I feel all of that's guessing. That's why I like the blood work, because it confirms it right there. As far as things that anyone can do, and once again, going along with generalizing, I do recommend supplements to my clients. Now, one thing I want to say about supplements is they can act just like a prescription medication. Just because you're not taking that prescribed sugar reducer, I don't really want to say names, but there's like a major diabetic medicine that people get prescribed. If you're taking that, or if you swap that out for a natural supplement, but you're on that supplement for the rest of your life, you really didn't do that great. You got to figure out why your sugar is high. So I work with my clients using supplements because it's the fastest way to get results, but it's not the long-term goal. The long-term goal is to reduce the issues going on in their body long enough that we can get a hold of changing their lifestyle so that their body can naturally start healing and then reversing these issues on their own. Like my husband, his biggest thing was the food. We started with food. We took out the bad food. We replaced it with the good food. A lot of things that people can do just on their own. I always tell people vitamin D. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of people can't get it anymore just being outside in the sun. You can't get it that much from the food, at least over here in the States. So that is one thing that I tell people they have to supplement, vitamin D. You need vitamin D for every cell function in your body, and your body cannot absorb the other vitamins and minerals without it. So it's very important that you have the vitamin D. You can also make sure collagen, drinking the chicken broth. Everyone remembers when, you were sick or you didn't feel good, grandma would make that chicken noodle soup, and that's because it had the collagen in it. The collagen helps to line your gut so that it's kind of like sealing it so that you're not getting any infections or foreign invaders or anything spreading out into your system. So collagen is a good one. Vegetables, the dark green leafy vegetables. And a lot of people don't understand why we always say that one, but that's mainly for the chlorophyll. that dark green color, that's a lot of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll helps the liver. So that helps it to, flush out some of the toxins. It kind of helps it to stay moving, stay activated, along with bitters. So you have your burdock root, your dandelion, your arugula, all these things you can actually get in tea form. So you can just sip on your tea. So there's a lot of different things that people can do as daily habits that are going to keep their body healthy. So did I answer all the questions? I was trying to put it in a lineup there.
Yeah, it just my brain went to thinking about chicken broth because I'm like, is it global? Because we're now here, 3 nationalities from multiple countries, kind of representing, Central Europe, UK, South Africa, America, and chicken broth seems to be quite common solution to lots of the illnesses, kind of the first call to action, kind of remedy coming through the generations. I'm thinking would Australia be the same? Would Asia be the same? Just started thinking, and thank you for explaining why, because I actually never knew why chicken broth is just so often used, and that it's not just, granny always made it just because it's just some folk wisdom, that there is an actual really good science to it. And I love getting these nuggets of science. One question was around the frequency. So if I think about, do I go get a blood work? Obviously, yes, we have opened the question of different countries, different medical systems, different accessibility, to understand that not for everyone it will be possible. But in an ideal world where I can go and get blood work done in an acute state, in preventive state, in kind of a discovery state, what would be then the advice that you give people to how frequently to check their blood?
So with the clients that come and see me, normally they already have some blood work. If I need to have them go and get new blood work, we just do it right away. And then while we're working through some of the issues that may show up in that blood work, your numbers are going to fluctuate. So I really don't recommend people getting their blood work done more than once a year. And I know a lot of people, you start working on a certain issue, let's say liver, we see your liver enzymes and we're not happy with them. So we start working on, detoxing the liver and making sure that you're getting all that stuff moving, and they want to run out right away and get more blood tests done. But you got to wait, because while we're detoxing your liver, we're also causing something else over here to move up and down. So your liver might look good, but we might have something else happening over here that we caused. So you got to kind of give your body time for everything to balance out after we go through the healing process. So yeah, I would not recommend to anyone, just in general. Now, if you have an actual deep rooted issue that we would feel you need more blood work done, that's kind of a case by case evaluation. But just for in general, people that come and see me or someone who wants to do it on their own, I would not recommend more than once a year. And you can normally get that done, through the doctor. I think they normally do a yearly blood work panel or something. While I have that in my mind, I do want to speak to something that Natalie said about going to the doctor to get your blood work. And she was saying how even that's hard where she's located. And some of my clients here in the States do have that issue as well. I would have to do some research into it. I don't know about the other countries, but I know here in the United States, there are websites that you can go to and you can order your own blood work. You do not have to do it through your GP. So one of the sites here in the States is called healthlabs.com. And you can go on there and order a comprehensive medical panel. It's every test that I talked about earlier. You take it to a blood draw facility, they pull the blood, they run the tests, and then you get your results in email. Your doctor doesn't even have to be involved. So I don't know if the other countries have, accessibility like that, but it's something to look into for the people who have a hard time getting their doctor to pull the blood work. I just wanted to make sure that I touched on that.
That's a really good advice. I'm sure there's something here in the UK to use, or a pharmacist, or maybe you just need to find a friend who can draw blood or something. But that is good advice. And I was just thinking, I'm going to South Africa for a month next month, and I'm thinking maybe I'm just going off to my mother's doctor and get some bloods done. Get that done. It might be easier. But for those who are not going to South Africa, it might be worth just scrolling through and seeing if there is something. If you're in the UK, other countries will have different things, but that's a good tip. You have shared so much with us today, and we really appreciate the time. And I'm sure Lenka and I could dig even deeper and become even more controversial if we wanted to. But we also appreciate, time is precious. Before we leave off, we always like to ask our guests to share top tips or a nugget of some sort of wisdom. Or is there something we haven't asked you and you're thinking, you know what, I really feel I want to share this information right now? This is your spot for any sort of, like I said, a top tip, a golden nugget, or something that you wanting to share that we haven't asked. So please just share with us whichever one it is, or all three, that's fine.
I can say the top tip. I've been asked this several times, and I touched on it a little bit while we were talking, but I really want to focus on it now. If you can't do anything else and you're dealing with symptoms, you don't feel good, you're tired, you're fatigued, you have inflammation, joint pain, anything like that, the one thing, if you can't do anything else, is I would definitely recommend to make sure you're taking vitamin D. Vitamin D helps with your immune system. It helps your body, like I said, to absorb all the other nutrients, vitamins, minerals that your body needs. It also helps to bring down inflammation in the body, because when your body absorbs vitamin D, it's more of a hormone than it is a vitamin. It's in a vitamin form, but then when your body absorbs it, it turns it into a hormone. And then hormone, what did I say earlier? You got cholesterol, healthy fats, creates and maintains hormones. Well, all of that stuff actually helps to kind of seal your joints and calm the nerves, and that helps with inflammation, joint pain all over. So that would be my number one tip. If you can't do anything else, make sure you're getting the proper amounts of vitamin D. It's really important. As far as anything that we really didn't discuss, the whole episode was talking about blood work, but I just want to make sure that people understand that, when you go to a chiropractor, or you go to an acupuncturist, or you go to a health coach, and I can say that because I'm a health coach too, anytime you go to them and you're telling them your symptoms and they're trying to come up with what's causing it, they're just guessing. I was just guessing. You come to me and you tell me this list of symptoms, I'm trying to guess what is causing it. But when you can come to somebody who can read your blood work in a functional medicine point of view and find those optimal ranges, they're not guessing. They can actually see in the blood work and pinpoint what the root causes are. And I love telling my patients when I show them something and they're just so amazed, because they're like, oh my gosh, how did you know that? Blood work doesn't lie. I'm not guessing. This is blood work. These are numbers that came directly from your body. Your body is telling us what we need to do. But also, like Natalie said earlier, anyone who's a health coach or a nutritionist, we are not the healers, because I can't force you to do anything. If I tell you you have this issue going on, it is up to you to heal yourself. You are the healer. We're just the guides. We're just the coaches. We can help you find the problem, but it's up to you to take back control of your health and to heal yourself. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone really understood that.
And that is a great way to, take back control, heal yourself. With such powerful words. Thank you so much. And that was really good advice. Your top tip, definitely vitamin D. It's can help so much. It can help your immune system. It can help you stave off colds and flu and all sorts. And it is great. And coming from the Southern Hemisphere, yeah, it's more in the Southern Hemisphere than it is in the Northern Hemisphere because there's more sunshine. So thank you for those really brilliant tips. Now, some of our listeners are thinking, you know what, we need to speak to this lady because we've got our bloods. What do we do? How do we do it? Or they just want some advice, or they want to talk to you, or they just need your wisdom. How can they reach you?
I do have my website. It's simplycultivated.com. I have all my social media channels. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and you can find me. It's Simply Cultivated or Simply Cultivated Health. So both of those, you'll take you right to me. And then the best way is probably through my website, because I do have a Let's Chat on there. So you can book a time that we can sit down and have a 30-minute call. We can figure out what's going on. If you need blood work drawn, if you have your blood work already, and just see if this would be a right fit for you. I can't claim, I don't cure, treat, anything like that, but I can help guide you. I can help coach you down the path that you need to go to get your health back.
And we will put all the links in the notes so that people can find them. And yeah, it is not about you treating them or fixing them. It's about you guiding. And I mean, I think that's what coaches and mentors and that's what we do, is guide, is help. And yeah, sometimes we just need that person to guide us, to help us. We take a walk through the mountains, we even have people guiding us and that. So why not for our health? It's okay to have that support. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your time and flitting over from the USA to wherever we are meeting somewhere in the ether. It's great that we're so international, and just sharing your knowledge and your guidance and your experience with us today. It's been wonderful, and we really appreciate all the stuff that you have shared with us. And for our listeners, is there something here that is intriguing you, or do you take responsibility for your health, and what have you done and what experience have you had? Please share with us, because we love to find what people have experienced or learned, so it gives us a different perspective. And if this is triggering a thought in your head going, oh my God, this is what I need to do, I never thought about blood works, I'd never understood about blood works, I need to look into that, we'd love to hear about your experiences. So reach out and let us know how you're getting on. And until next time and our next conversation, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
If you enjoyed listening to our conversation, please share it with your friends and colleagues, and don't forget to subscribe. We would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and write a short review.